All of my claims are entirely in accordance with the rules as they are, and I just want to make it clear that I've only ever had one small one-bedroom flat at any time in London. I live here in Salford, and obviously to be a Member of Parliament I have to have somewhere to live in London. I've decided to send to the Inland Revenue a cheque which is the equivalent of what would have been paid in capital gains tax had it been liable when I've moved flats whilst I've been an MP.
You've been asked to do this by either the Prime Minister or the Chief Whip. What conversations have you had with colleagues in the Labour Party?
Well, I've decided to do this. I've talked it over with my family. My single most important thing in my life is my relationship with the constituents in Salford. It is where I live, it's where I was brought up, and it's where I represent. And I've decided that despite having complied with the rules, the revenue, everything else, right, I know people feel really, really angry about this, and therefore I've decided that I want to send this cheque. It is the equivalent of what would have been paid had it been liable for when I've moved flats in London, and I actually think that's the right thing for me to do.
Well, did he lean on you and say, Hazel, you ought to pay this back?
Not at all. I have talked to the Prime Minister, and that's absolutely as it should be. Look, I'm a member of the Cabinet. I think it's really important that people do believe that they can trust us. And I know that they feel incredibly angry about the whole system, all the stuff that's come out. And that's why I've taken this personal decision to send this cheque, which is the amount that would have been paid had it been liable, which it wasn't. But so what, you know, you can comply with the rules and everything else, but the public are really, really angry. And I have discussed it with the Prime Minister, and quite properly so.
Some people might say this is a desperate measure to save your job. You're buying your place in the Cabinet. Well,
what I would say to anybody who said that is they don't know me. They don't know that for 30 years I've been representing people as a councillor, as an MP, as a minister, and now in the Cabinet, and that I'm doing the best I can to make sure that people who don't normally have much of a voice, people from Salford, are at the heart of government. That's my job, and that's why I feel such a sense of personal responsibility here.
You're doing this just to save face, to keep your job, and you might turn out you get sacked in the reshuffle and you might have wasted £13,000.
I don't look at it in those terms at all. What I've got here is a situation where the public are outraged at a whole series of things that have gone on, and I want to do my bit to try and say, how do we rebuild that relationship, right? If you don't have trust between politicians and the public, you can't run your democracy, and I think that's really important. It always has been to me, and I'm doing this really to see what can I do to try and get those first steps to rebuilding that trust, right? This cheque is, as I say, what would have been paid had it been liable.